Most people don't fail in their business because they're lazy. They fail because their day is absolute chaos. No structure, no plan of action, no control of their time whatsoever. And the truth is, if your calendar is empty and you're not utilizing these secret productivity tools, then you've got a major issue. So I'm going to bring you through how I structure my day out and plan my entire routine as someone who makes over $100,000 a month in their online coaching company. So let's head over to my Google Calendar, where we're going to start off with a completely blank canvas to show you how you can do it too. So first of all, what you need to do is you need to look through all of your days and think, what do each day hold first? So of course, for online coaches, most Mondays are check-in days with your clients, okay? So you would have Monday scheduled in as check-ins for your overall reminders. Of course, any type of holidays will show up the top too. Tuesdays for busy coaches will also be check-ins too. Then Fridays, you generally do catch-ups with your clients, like texting them, seeing how their week has been. Now that the service is out of the way, we do need to find a day that we can produce content. I personally like doing mine on the weekend on days that I actually have no work. So if that's something you'd prefer too, then you can follow my lead. And of course, you can dedicate one of the other free days to something else, like admin work in total. In my opinion, everybody should be getting up early and going to sleep early. It's just something that's going to make your life as a business owner completely different. If you get into a routine where you start waking up late at 9 a.m. but you don't get to bed until like 12, this will be an issue for your productivity, absolutely. So my recommendation on your routine going forward is wake up around 6 a.m. Now simply, if you want to make this a reoccurring calendar, you just click on it, press edit, press on this does not repeat button, and press every single weekday. Now you can simply see that every single day, Monday to Friday, you're scheduled in to wake up at 6 a.m. After that, you can then schedule in your first work block. Now for your first work block, I would always recommend having something that uses most brain power, because when you wake up first thing in the morning, you're always going to be a whole lot more energetic as opposed to later on in the day when you accumulate that mental fatigue. So in the mornings, I always have my deep work blocks, the things that make me the most money that are most important. So if I generally struggle to come up with content ideas, this is where content ideas would come in. And of course, if I only needed one day, then you'd press edit and you'd come over here and you'd just say weekly on Monday. That way, every time you switch to a new week, you can see that it's always on the Monday. But I personally have a lot of USA customers, so I generally spend my entire morning on calls. So from here, I normally have about an hour and a half availability of calls. You can title this call block 1. And of course, you can set it to every single weekday, Monday to Friday. I also like to coordinate it in colors too. So if you want to use yellow as your overall work tasks, then you can use yellow. And then for general daily tasks like wake up, morning routine, you can use the color blue. Now, of course, I do have a dog, so I like to schedule in a dog walk. And then I normally take some time to eat my breakfast straight after that dog walk. Because if you can set your day up to have limited amount of distractions, you wouldn't want to go for a dog walk and then go and do an entire another hour of work and then come back out for your breakfast and then do another hour of work and then do something else. I ideally like to have minimum 3 total distractions throughout the entire day. So since my work block 1 is quite short, I will have a short little break with your dog walk and your breakfast. Now, a lot of people would normally go to the gym in the morning, and to be honest with you, if you want me to give you my brutally honest opinion, I think when going to the gym, you're just asking for a bit more mental fatigue. And if you want to solely focus on your business, I would really recommend just only having business related tasks all the way up until the evening. So this is how I would position it. We would head back into another work block, which again, since it's early in the morning, we still do have that brain power. I would add in something called red admin tasks. And you're probably thinking, what does red mean? Red admin tasks are all things that need to be done ASAP with high importance. So for an example, things like coming up with content ideas, doing content reviews, building out new training systems for your staff. These are all things that are important that could negatively affect your business or positively affect it. So I'd always recommend having those type of tasks in early in the morning because they require less brain power. Then I would have another 2-ish hours of another work block, which again, normally I would consist of call. Now that you've been at the computer for more than 3 hours, you're now due to take a little break. So what I'd recommend doing is going for a nice 30-minute walk. And of course, then you can get a coffee or something like that. And then you're due to head into another work block. Now, again, this is where I would normally do another call block. My whole goal as a business owner is to maximize the amount of new cash that you can potentially make. And how you do that is by you being constantly on the front foot in the front end of the business, which is being on calls, creating content, sending messages, basically trying your best to gain new customers. You don't want to spend the majority of your time sitting in admin work or sitting in some sort of fulfillment, because then you don't ultimately have the resources in order to be able to grow the business, and you just, well, your entire day is spent sustaining the business, which isn't ideal. So now that you've just headed into your third call block, you're obviously going to be a bit mentally fatigued and tired, which is now the most important thing: admin and fulfillment. And apparently I don't know how to spell fulfillment. The reason why you want to leave this to the end of every single day is because it requires the least amount of brain power and it's going to have least amount of impact on your business. So having the admin and fulfillment tasks in towards the end of the day is a no-brainer. So now you've just dedicated 9 hours of quality work into your day. And if you're a business owner that works anything less than 9 hours, well, you need to have a serious fucking word with yourself. Because think about it, in order to be considered full-time worker in any other person's company, you would need to be doing minimum 8 hours. So if you're working for yourself and you're not doing minimum 9 hours, you're really fucking stupid. You need to be doing quality work, foot on the pedal, constantly pushing the gas to grow your business every single day. And now you can put in things like your luxuries, like the gym, dinner. And yes, you should plan these things out too. Even though you're done work, it doesn't mean that you can't be structured. And even towards the end of the day, you're adding in your go to sleep, because routine is absolutely everything as a business owner. Even adding in little daily tasks like read a book. But this is exactly how you should plan your day out every single day, to dedicate certain hours towards work. And let's say for a scenario, one of your days you do not have a call block. There is no calls booked in, so you've got nothing to do. What should you do? Well, it's an issue that there isn't fucking calls on your calendar. So what you should do is focus on putting more calls on the calendar. So I would spend this entire time that you were supposed to be doing calls that now you don't have calls, doing messages to potential customers to try put more calls onto the calendar. Because if you don't have work here and you don't do the messages to potential customers, you're risking not having work tomorrow. And if you're that inconsistent with it, maybe all fucking days, and now you're sitting here never having calls. Which now brings me on to my first productivity task for you. So if you go on to a thing called Notion, this is going to be the best website or app if you have it on your phone for you. This is going to track all your to-do tasks. You're going to be able to reposition them in progress, in review, completed tasks and things to do. And this is where you can do things like your red tasks. You can create a block that's labeled red tasks. And then of course you've got your general admin tasks, which you will have beside that. During your red tasks block, you only do your red tasks. If you're old school, you can just use a notes section either, but I personally like using Notion. The second productivity task, of course you can just use do not disturb on your phone, but me personally using do not disturb is a bit risky because sometimes I have essential notifications that I need to see. So I use a thing called Opal. And this is basically a screen time app, which is going to limit the amount of distractions you can get. It's going to show you how much screen time that you've had for the day, and you can specifically press what type of notifications you want to receive and what you don't. And you can physically lock your app. Yeah, you heard me right. You can literally fucking lock your app. So if you don't want to go onto Instagram, you can lock this app and you can set the difficulty of unlock. Of course, you've got one level of unlock where you literally just type in your password and that's it. Or you can strictly lock it and say, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's basically like you're not allowed into the app. It doesn't matter if you type in your password. It doesn't matter anything. The only time that you can access the app is when you set the timer to stop. So if you've said to yourself that you're not allowed on Instagram from the times of 6 a.m. until 9 a.m. because that's when you're supposed to be doing deep work, it literally will not let you onto it no matter what until 9 a.m. And honestly, as excessive as it is, this is something I use on my day-to-day basis. I have never went onto my Instagram app during a deep work block, and it's because I can't. I literally have no choice. I cannot. Of course, I used Google Calendar for my overall calendar and timing layout. You could use other things, but Google Calendar to me is just the best one. Now, of course, your routine is going to be entirely dependent on what level of the business you're in. If you're at my end of the business, basically the only thing you do is team management, create content, and attend sales calls. But if you're slightly newer to the business, of course, you're going to be doing a whole lot more smaller tasks. So make sure your calendar looks like something that you can stick to on a day-to-day basis. If you want help one-to-one to help scale your online coaching company from zero all the way up to the moon like I have, or if you're already an established business and you're struggling to break plateaus, I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can book a completely free one-to-one consultation call with me. This isn't a sales call. I mean, I couldn't give a fuck about your pain points or anything like that. Trust me, if I wanted to, I could sell you. But honestly, after years of sales calls, I just couldn't be fucking arsed no more. So if you want to have a genuine conversation whether I could scale your business or not, then book in the free consult and we'll get right down to business. If you want to see more of me, I definitely recommend hitting the page of subscribe up here. Or if you want to continue your doom scroll, then there's another video I'd recommend watching up here. That being said, I'll see you all in the next one.